Really transparent. They haven't even been on my channel yet. I've known these dudes for 10 years. They haven't even been on my channel. How wild would it be if it would be more likely for me to get someone like Chance the Rapper on the channel before it is to get Andy and Lecrae? You don't think that makes me feel a way about stuff? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Ruslan.
We often miss the boat on this, in my opinion. It's a very important passage. And it's this passage in John, verse 17, verse 20 and 23. And this is Jesus praying. Jesus says, my prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one. Father, just as you are in me and I am in you, may they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. And in verse 22, he says, I've given them the glory that you gave me, that they may be one as we are one, I in them and you in me, so that they may be brought to complete unity. Complete unity. Then who? Then the world will know that you sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me. So there's this thing about 10 years ago called the Elephant Room. Some of you guys may have seen it. And this isn't an endorsement of everybody that was at the Elephant Room. This isn't an endorsement of the person I'm going to talk about here. But the point, I think, is huge. It was the Elephant Room, and they brought in TD Jakes. Now, the Elephant Room was predominantly a bunch of reformed guys that lean Calvinist, the Mark Driscolls, the Perry Nobles, the James McLeods, I think is his name. And they also had guys like Greg Laurie and Stephen Furtick there. And TD Jakes was there. And at the time, there was a lot of controversy about TD Jakes, whether he believed in oneness Pentecostalism or whether he believed in the doctrine of the Trinity. And you guys should go watch it to actually hear what his thoughts are on it. But they were at one point talking about some particular doctrine. I don't remember what it was, but it was something that the church was divided on. TD Jakes makes this really interesting point. And he said, it's interesting that you guys can sit and debate and discuss it and be divided on it and break away in fellowship. He says in the black church tradition, he said, hey, we don't have the luxury of debating every single secondary, non-essential, non-heaven or hell issue. He said, the black church historically hasn't had that issue. He said, because we wouldn't have survived. We had to get rallied and get unified. And TD Jakes is kind of known for one of those guys that kind of pops into different pockets. What am I talking about? He pops in with the Pentecostal crowd. He was popped in with this like neo-evangelical, even fundamentalist crowd. He seems to be Trinitarian in that video, but then he also comes off very oneness Pentecostal. And his website is the word manifestations. And it's like, But his point that we do not have the luxury of debating every single non-essential, trivial issue that are important, but are they so important that we should be divided against? Every single wisdom issue. What am I getting at? We want to impact culture. I would hope that that's what we want. I would hope that if you are a follower of Jesus, you want other people who are far from God to also become followers of Jesus. One of the ways we do that, in my opinion, is by leveraging technology, leveraging media, leveraging music. If you've been around the Christian consumer, they tend to be kind of nasty and combative in a lot of ways. They tend to divide and be nitpicky over the smallest things. They tend to elevate every single point of disagreement to an issue of someone's salvation. New Gallup poll came out, and we found out that over 52% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed, and we just cracked 70,000 subscribers. So do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, turn the bell notification on so you don't miss anything. And if you're finding value from this video, give it a like as well. Right now, we have a viral moment of our own from the church, from the Christian community. What am I talking about? Coming in Hot by Andy Mineo and Lecrae. Some of you guys are already like, oh, Andy Mineo and Lecrae, they're not true Christians. They don't know, blah, 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 blah. Right? And I'm like, hey, this is a fun record, a clean record. It doesn't glorify any sin. And it was trending on IG Reels as the most used record. We were talking about on this channel, Andy Mineo reposting Kim Kardashian without cropping out her cleavage. Lecrae reposted it and just face up. And my point was, hey, this isn't a heaven or hell issue. This is a discretion issue. I think that we need to be gracious with this and just say, hey, pray for Andy. If it offends you, unfollow him, but don't make a nasty mess about it and stir about it, because hey, you know what? The world is watching. Christian hip hop is having a huge uptick because of that song going viral. There's a lot of new people coming in and discovering Andy. And if they go there and you see all this nastiness and folks arguing and telling him he's not safe, it's just not very helpful. And so I said that. Some of you guys thought I was tripping, but hopefully after a thing like Lil Nas X, you may agree with me prayerfully. We don't have the luxury to be divided over every single issue. We don't have the luxury to say, oh, I wish he said Jesus more in this song. We don't have the luxury to say, oh, I wouldn't have done it that way. I wish he could have done it that way. And we have a record right now that's going crazy viral. A record that's 2 years old, by the way. And it's taken on a life of its own. And instead of getting behind it and celebrating it and embracing it, we've done the opposite. We've been nasty, we've been combative, we've been kind of mean about it. To me, it's honestly ridiculous if you understand how important the time is that we're living in, that we have an opportunity, that if you look at TikTok and you look at YouTube, that Christian content is the biggest emerging niche on either of those platforms. That's wild to me, right? That my channel is growing really fast. That now we're having this uptick in Christian hip hop on Spotify. All kinds of artists having an uptick in their streams. My streams, I haven't put out music since December. My streams are going up because of this viral moment. And we rather sit and divide and be nasty about it. And it's honestly, as a Christian creative, as a Christian artist, a lot of times engaging with the fans and even looking at some of y'all comments, it feels like we're trying to herd cats. It feels like you guys just want to fight and fester and be nasty instead of saying, hey, the days are few. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. I feel like this is a time where the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few, and we rather divide and be combative and be nasty instead of pressing in and having hard conversations, instead of pressing in and making great art and being engaging. We rather divide, okay? And by the way, this isn't an endorsement of everything Andy Mineo or Lecrae has ever done. This isn't me saying, you guys think that like, I'm just like, yeah, whatever they do, it's great because they're great. Listen, hey, full transparency. I've known those brothers for 10 years. I support them, not because I'm blindly supporting them, because I see the bigger picture that this is chess and not checkers. And when there's a moment, let me get behind it and let me support them. Not because I co-sign every single thing they do. Hey, really transparent. They haven't even been on my channel yet. I've known these dudes for 10 years. They haven't even been on my channel. How wild would it be if it would be more likely for me to get someone like Chance the Rapper on the channel before it is to get Andy and Lecrae? You don't think that makes me feel a way about stuff? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I got to be aware of what God is doing and throw my support behind that and help them out to the best of my ability, because clearly this thing is taking off, and I think that's a good thing. Guys, we don't have the luxury to be divided right now. We don't have the luxury to be combative over every single little thing. And when you see artists repeatedly, some of them, yes, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes. But when you see certain people that pull back from the Christian market, pull back from the Christian consumer, it's because what could be an amazing harvest is oftentimes caught up in the weeds and the gophers and the nastiness of the consumer, instead of saying, let's rally behind and let's see what God is doing and let's support each other. Jesus' prayer was that he prayed that we would be united. That was his heart for us. He says, the world will know that you sent me even as you have loved me. That he's praying that we would have complete unity. As a Christian consumer, be aware of what's happening and be aware that yes, we are in a way fighting this thing with one arm tied behind our back. I'll give you guys an example. In the middle of Marilyn Manson, in the middle of DMX, in the middle of Lil Kim, in the middle of all the debauchery of the 90s, there was a little band named U2, one of the best-selling bands of all time, by the way. And while the world was going dark, U2, who's not a Christian band, but two of the people in the band are Christian, most notably Bono. You can look up Bono and his interviews and him talking about Jesus. It's incredible. The music's clean, by the way. U2 was writing songs about Jesus, writing songs about hope, writing songs about Yahweh, Incredible stuff. A lot of times when the culture and the world gets dark, oftentimes some of the best-selling stuff is stuff from Christians that's in culture. POD came out around the same time, right? A lot of this stuff, and you started seeing a revival. And I think we have the opportunity to see the same revival even more so now, because we don't need major labels. We don't need anybody to press the button. That you, the consumer, can press the button. And I'm gonna leave you guys with this last point. This is more of a personal point. My wife is about to have a baby any minute now. That's if I seem kind of distracted, it's because I am. The baby's due on Easter, ironically enough, right? There's this passage that I wanted to read to you guys. And this is Jesus talking about what happens after the fact. This is John 16. Very truly, I tell you, you will weep and mourn while the world rejoices. You will weep and mourn while the world rejoices. You will grieve, but your grief will turn to joy. A woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come. But when your baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born into the world. And he says, so with you, now is your time to grieve, but I will see you again and you will rejoice and no one will take away your joy. Okay. So one, I think that's a timely passage for where we are in society and some of the darkness we're seeing. This verse 21, a woman giving birth to a child has pain because her time has come, but when her baby is born, she forgets the anguish of her joy that a child is born into the world. So there's this tension. The world is not a nice place. However, when a baby is born, a woman rejoices in that a baby is born. I'm in a spot where my wife is going to have a baby. And if I'm honest with you, I kind of want the birth to be over with. I want to be on the other side of the birth, because the birth is messy, because the birth is hard, because the birth can be traumatic, because the birth can damage her body. My wife gave birth to Levi naturally. Her water could break at any minute. I want to be on the other side of the birth. I want to get into the new routine. I want to get into the new season that we're in. And I feel like some of you guys watching this, not all, but some, probably a very small percentage, have seeds that have been deposited in you for certain visions, certain ideas, certain businesses, certain companies to push the kingdom forward in society and in culture. And you are anxious in a way, the way I'm anxious. You rather be on the other side of the birth. You rather be on the other side of, of getting this child out to the world. But I promise you, and Jesus says it right here, a woman giving birth to a child has pain. It is painful. The birth is painful because her time has come. But when her baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born into the world. Some of you guys have visions in your heart. Some of you guys have dreams. You're afraid to step out because you know that birthing process, that process of I got to work a job and work on my side hustle and be a leader in my home. It's a tough process. It requires sacrifice. It requires discipline. It requires time management. It requires rest. You're trying to skip the birth and get into the new season, but I'm telling you, press into the birth. It's not easy. None of this stuff is easy, guys, but it's worth it. I'm ready to get into this new season, man. I can't wait till this baby's here, but I'm not really looking forward to the birth, if I'm honest with you. Like, I know it's going to be awesome. I know it's going to be miraculous, but if we could just jump into being a family of 4 already. If I could just meet this baby already. By the way, we don't know what we're having, if it's a boy or a girl. If I could just see their face already. I was laying there last night. We were watching a show and I felt the baby kicking through my wife's stomach. And I was like, man, I cannot wait to meet this baby. I cannot wait to meet this baby, but we got to go through the birth, which is scary. Complications could arise. Who knows, right? Prayerfully, everything goes smooth. But I believe that it's going to be good. And so some of you guys are watching this, and I think that's a word for some of you guys. I think some of you guys are afraid. Some of you guys don't know what you're supposed to do. And I'm just encouraging you to start. Do the last thing God told you to do. And if you don't know where to start by paying attention to other Christian creatives and Christian artists. So if you're an artist, hey, be paying very close attention to what Nick D is doing. Okay, what Paul Russell is doing. Pay attention to what they're doing. They're doing some cool stuff. What I Am Rescued is doing, right? Nick D on TikTok, he's crushing it. I am Nick D on TikTok, NIC. Pay attention to what Nick D is doing. If you're a creator, you want to get into the YouTube space, hey, pay attention to what I'm doing, what Mike Winger's doing, what Alan Parr's doing, what do you mean John Lecrae is doing. Pay attention to what's happening here because there's a lot of opportunity. If you want to hop on TikTok, pay attention to what Grayson is doing, to what Amen Alex is doing. There's a lot of opportunity here right now, but you have to be willing to go through the birth. You have to be willing to go through birth. And that starts with just, first of all, hey, let me get a vision and an idea for what I may want to share with the world. It's not for everybody, okay? Not everybody needs to have a YouTube page. But those of you guys that have some experience, those of you guys that have been through some stuff, those of you guys that are experts in some things, I recommend you at least explore the space because it's not about me having 7 million subscribers. I'd much rather there be 100 of me with 70,000 subscribers than there be one me with 7 million subscribers, which is why I'm giving back and doing stuff like a course to help other Christian YouTubers. That's why Alan Parr has a course for Christian YouTubers, right? That's why Sean Cannell does what he does because we want to help more people to get into this space, whether you're an artist, a rapper, a YouTuber, a personality, a podcaster. Guys, it's a good time to be creative. Again, Jesus said, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. That is my heart for this. Hopefully this was valuable. If you found value from this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. And shoot me a DM on Instagram if you got any comments or questions or concerns. All right? Peace.
Joshua the king came down and bore it all. Yeah, conversations front of the fireplace. All of my mistakes, how do I erase? Wanna operate at a higher pace. Birth pains causing the body to dilate on a first name basis with the